Let me ask you a question that will shake the foundations of how you think. If you don't have $1 million saved, what exactly are you waiting for? Permission, luck, the economy, a miracle. Because time isn't waiting for you. Inflation isn't waiting. Rent isn't waiting. Responsibility isn't waiting. So why are you? There comes a moment in every person's life when they must look in the mirror and admit the truth. I am either building my dream or I'm helping someone else build theirs. You see, the $1 million is not about the money. It never was. It's about what kind of person you must become to attract it. It's about who you must evolve into in order to demand more from yourself, from life, from the very ground you walk on. You think the greats, Edison, Carnegie, Ford, were chasing dollars. No, they were chasing dominance over their own limitations. They were chasing freedom, purpose, power. And in that pursuit, the wealth followed. But you were told something different, weren't you? Be realistic. Don't dream too big. Just get a good job and save a little. They handed you a script that was written to keep you safe, but not free. To keep you quiet, but not fulfilled. And so here you are, time passing, talent waiting, potential unused. Not because you lack intelligence, not because you lack ambition, but because you've been hypnotized into thinking that average is acceptable. It is not. And if you're listening to this, then something in you already knows that. Something deep in your soul is pounding on the walls, begging to be let out. A fire that refuses to die quietly. A whisper that says, I was meant for more. That whisper, that's your future self. The version of you who already owns the million, the peace, the power, the purpose. They're calling to you. But here's the catch. You don't get to meet that version by doing what you've always done, because the path to your million isn't paved with more hours, more hustle, more suffering. It is paved with clarity, with vision, with the discipline to execute even when no one is watching. You must become the kind of person who commands value, so much value that the world has no choice but to reward you. And that starts not with your wallet, but your mind. Because until you rewire your thoughts, you will keep reliving the same year over and over, calling it a life. Most people think wealth starts in the bank. It doesn't. It starts in your thinking. Understand this, the greatest fortune you will ever possess is your ability to think independently, to see what others miss, to believe what others doubt, and to take action while the rest of the world waits. That's what Napoleon Hill meant when he said, think and grow rich. He didn't say work harder and grow rich. He didn't say wait and grow rich. He said tiek, because thought is the root of all creation. Look around you. Every building, every company, every empire began as an idea. Now ask yourself, what am I doing with my ideas? Are you honoring them, protecting them, feeding them? Or are you starving them with self-doubt and distractions? You see, there is a war for your mind. Every advertisement, every social media scroll, every breaking headline, it's all designed to pull your attention away from your vision and direct it toward theirs. And if you don't take control of your mind, someone else will. The average person today is drowning in information and starving for wisdom. But you must become ruthless about your focus, ruthless about what you consume, ruthless about what you believe. Because wealth doesn't come to those who wish for it. It comes to those who are willing to do the mental labor most people avoid, the labor of clarity, of sitting in silence and asking yourself, what do I truly want? Not what your parents wanted, not what society expects, what you want. And then daring to go after it like your life depends on it. Because it does. You will never earn more than you believe you are worth. That's the truth. Self-worth is the thermostat that sets the temperature of your entire life. You cannot attract abundance while clinging to thoughts of inadequacy. You cannot become rich while believing you're unworthy of wealth. And make no mistake, this world doesn't pay you for effort. It pays you for results. You want to be paid like a millionaire. Then you must think like one, move like one, solve problems like one. Because money is not scarce. Money is flowing constantly, moving from the pockets of the unfocused to the focused, from the timid to the bold, from the uncertain to the obsessed. And if you don't have $1 million saved yet, that's not a problem. That's your greatest opportunity. It means the game is still in play. It means the version of you who has it all still lies ahead, waiting to be claimed. But you don't get there by accident. You get there by design, by eliminating the unnecessary, by confronting the uncomfortable, by sacrificing the temporary pleasure for the permanent reward. You see, discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect. It's telling the world, I will not live below my potential. Because the cost of your dreams is not money. It is who you're willing to become. The world will try to convince you that you're running out of time, that you're too old, too behind, too late, but that's a lie designed to keep you passive. Colonel Sanders didn't sell his first chicken franchise until he was 62. Ray Kroc didn't build McDonald's until he was 52. Morgan Freeman didn't land his breakout role until his 50s. Harlan David Sanders had over 1,000 doors slammed in his face before someone said yes. But they weren't counting time, they were counting belief. And belief is timeless. You don't get rich by watching the clock. You get rich by seizing the moment. And the moment is now. You have to stop measuring your life in years and start measuring it in decisions. Because one decision, just one, can change everything. The decision to commit, the decision to rise early, the decision to cut off distractions, the decision to invest in your mind, the decision to walk away from mediocrity, even when it's comfortable, the decision to burn the old identity so the new one can rise from the ashes. Wealth doesn't reward the qualified. It rewards the decided, and if you haven't made the decision yet, make it now. You don't need more money to become wealthy. You need more clarity, because without clarity, every opportunity becomes a distraction. Without clarity, every distraction feels like an opportunity. But when you know who you are and what you're building, you become unshakable. You stop chasing and start attracting. Because wealth isn't something you pursue. It's something you magnetize by becoming a force so aligned, so focused, so bold that the universe has no choice but to obey. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat in a quiet room, no noise, no notifications, no music, just you, and asked yourself, what is the legacy I am building? Because if you're not building a legacy, you're just spending time. And time is a currency you never get back. Every day you waste living someone else's dream, every hour you trade for comfort, every minute you delay your calling, it all adds up. And one day, you'll wake up and realize you didn't run out of time, you just never used it. So stop playing small. Stop playing safe. You were not born to survive. You were born to create. And every second you hesitate is a second lost in the graveyard of wasted potential. Do you want to know the most expensive place on earth? It's not Manhattan. It's not Dubai. It's the cemetery. Because there lie the dreams that were never pursued, the businesses never started, the books never written, the wealth never built, because someone was too afraid to start. But not you. Not anymore. You've heard the call. And you don't need the world's permission to answer it. You only need your own. You don't need another book, another podcast, another opinion. You need decisive action, because clarity without action is delusion, and information without execution is just entertainment. The future belongs to those who move, to those who don't wait to be picked but pick themselves, to those who don't ask, what if I fail, but declare, what if I succeed beyond anything I've ever imagined, to those who are willing to risk comfort for greatness. Because here's the truth, your comfort zone is not a sanctuary, it's a trap. It's the place where dreams go to die a slow, quiet death. The moment you choose courage over comfort, you become dangerous. And the world doesn't know what to do with someone like that. Someone who walks with purpose. Someone who acts with conviction. Someone who refuses to shrink to wait to wish. You become a force of nature. And don't mistake this for motivation. This is not hype. This is awakening. Because I'm not talking to the person you are. I'm speaking directly to the person you're becoming. The millionaire in you, the leader in you, the creator, the builder, the giant. They are real. They are possible. But they are demanding something from you right now. Not someday. Not when the stars align. Now. The $1 million is already in your path. You just haven't walked far enough with focus to find it. It's hidden behind the decisions you've been avoiding, the early mornings you've been skipping, the conversations you've been too afraid to have, the risks you've been unwilling to take. But behind those things is the life you've always known was yours. The question is, will you go get it? Because no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to build your dream. And the uncomfortable truth, it's not their job, it's yours. There is no cavalry. There is no rescue team. There is only you standing at the edge of your potential, staring into the unknown, deciding whether to leap or retreat. But let me tell you something, the world won't. The leap is where life begins. Every great life, every great fortune, every great legacy was born in a moment of defiance. A moment where a man or woman looked at their current reality and said, this is not enough. Not because they were ungrateful, but because they were aware that they were made for more. aware that there is a version of themselves who doesn't wake up in survival mode, who doesn't flinch at the price tag, who doesn't ask for permission to dream, a version of themselves who commands wealth like a general commands an army, strategically, relentlessly, without apology. But that version won't be handed to you. That version is earned through discipline, earned through sacrifice, earned through 1,000 silent decisions no one will ever see. Do you think Carnegie built his empire by waiting for approval? Do you think Edison worked politely from 9 to 5? Do you think Ford hesitated when the world laughed at his motor carriage? No, they were obsessed. Obsessed with mastery, obsessed with their mission, obsessed with becoming the kind of person their vision required. And that's the mindset you must adopt now, because this is not about hitting some number in your bank account. This is about becoming dangerously focused. So focused that you don't even recognize your old self anymore. So focused that failure doesn't scare you, because inaction scares you more. So focused that the noise of the world fades into silence, and the only thing you hear is your own footsteps echoing toward destiny. You want the million? Then stop asking, how long will it take? Start asking, how far am I willing to go? Because the distance between you and everything you desire is measured in sacrifice. The sacrifice of comfort, the sacrifice of distraction, the sacrifice of every excuse you've ever whispered to yourself at 2 a.m. when you knew you were playing small. Because here's the hard truth. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. You cannot chase comfort and freedom at the same time. You want freedom. Then prepare for discomfort. Prepare for loneliness. Prepare for people to misunderstand you, mock you, doubt you. Let them. While they're busy laughing, you'll be building. While they're scrolling, you'll be sharpening. While they're sleeping in, you'll be creating a life so rare, so powerful, that one day they'll ask how you did it. And you'll say, I stopped waiting. I started moving. I stopped living for their approval, and I started living for impact, because wealth is not something you get lucky with. It's something you become. It's the byproduct of a mindset so powerful, so disciplined, so locked in that even failure starts working for you. And that's the secret they don't teach in school. That's what Napoleon Hill uncovered in the minds of every titan he studied. That behind every fortune is a philosophy, a way of thinking so precise, so structured, so intentional, that riches become inevitable. But don't get it twisted. This is not about grinding until your soul is numb. This is about alignment. It's about choosing the hard path on purpose, because you know what it leads to. It's about waking up every day and remembering you have a mission. You have a calling. You are not here to repeat the patterns of broke thinkers. You are here to rewrite the script, to take every limiting belief you inherited and burn it to the ground, to silence the voice that says, who are you to be wealthy? And replace it with, who am I not to be? Because every time you hesitate, every time you play small, every time you tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow, you rob the world of the most powerful version of you. And you were not put here to rob the world. You were put here to serve it with your gift, your discipline, your vision. And in return, the world will reward you with wealth beyond your current comprehension, but only if you are bold enough to demand it, not from others, from yourself. The question isn't, can you become a millionaire? The question is, are you willing to become the person who deserves to be? Because that person doesn't shrink from adversity. That person hunts discomfort. That person doesn't need external motivation. They are internally obsessed. That person doesn't hope for the storm to pass. They become the storm. And if you're still listening, then something in you is already waking up. Something ancient. Something powerful. Something relentless. You can feel it. The old you is cracking. The new you is rising. And the million, that's just the receipt. Proof that you refused to settle. Proof that you rewired your mind and reclaimed your birthright. Proof that you didn't just hear this message, you became it. Let this be the day you draw the line, the day you say, no more playing broke in my thinking, no more waiting for a lucky break, no more settling for crumbs when I was born to build empires, because wealth is not a destination. It is a decision to act no matter how imperfect, to move no matter how afraid, to trust even when you can't yet see the full staircase. It is not the result of your job, your background, your education, or your family. It is the result of how relentlessly you refuse to quit on yourself. Think about this. Every successful person you admire, every one of them was once just a regular human who made an irregular decision to stop living according to the expectations of others and start living in obedience to their own potential. You want to know the real difference between the wealthy and the struggling? It's not opportunity. It's not talent. It's not education. It's this: the wealthy decide once who they are going to be, and then they show up as that person every day. They don't entertain doubt. They don't negotiate with excuses. They don't get distracted by every shiny thing screaming for their attention. They commit, and then they honor that commitment like it's a vow carved into stone. Can you do that? Because until you can, the million will remain a fantasy, and fantasies are for those who want to feel inspired. Fortunes are for those who are willing to bleed for the life they know they were born to live. And if you think that sounds extreme, good, because extreme is what it takes to stand out in a world addicted to mediocrity. You weren't born to fit in. You were born to take the lead, to wake up, look in the mirror, and see a leader staring back, a leader of your thoughts, a leader of your time, a leader of your legacy. And a leader doesn't need applause to keep going. A leader moves because the mission demands it. There is a voice inside you. It's been whispering your whole life. It says, "You're not like the others. You were meant to build, not beg, to create, not complain, to rise, not retreat." That voice is truth. And every time you silence it, the world loses something irreplaceable. But every time you honor it, every time you move in the direction of that voice, you shift reality itself. You bend the universe around your conviction. You stop asking, "How do I become wealthy?" and start asking, "Who must I become so that wealth becomes a byproduct of my identity?" And the answer: you must become a disciplined savage with a servant's heart, a warrior who plans like a general and executes like a soldier. You must become unreasonable with your goals, unshakable in your beliefs, and unbreakable in your pursuit. And when the world tries to tell you to slow down, you say, "I didn't come this far to be liked. I came to be legendary," because in the end, it's not about the $1 million. It's about the man or woman who emerges in the pursuit of it. The kind of person who leads with purpose, builds with courage, and lives with intention. The kind of person whose very presence changes rooms, whose discipline turns chaos into structure, whose actions make even silence feel loud. You want to change your life, then become that person. Right now. No more delay, no more doubt. No more waiting for signs. This message is the sign. Burn the old story, the one where you're underpaid, overlooked, average, invisible, and start writing the new one, the story where you rise, where you lead, where you demand the life that's been locked inside you for too long. And when people ask you what changed, tell them the truth. I stopped thinking like I was broke, and I started thinking like I was already wealthy. This isn't about saving $1 million. It's about realizing you were the fortune all along. Now act like it, live like it, build like it, and never look back. Because the clock isn't ticking on your dream. It's ticking on your excuses, and they just ran out. They say the universe doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you're willing to tolerate. So ask yourself right now, what have you been tolerating? Have you been tolerating fear parading as logic? Tolerating a job that drains your soul in exchange for barely enough to get by? Tolerating friends who keep you small? Habits that numb your fire? Routines that repeat failure on loop? Because if you want to change your life, you don't start by adding something new. You start by removing everything that contradicts your vision. Burn the bridges, block the noise, cut off the lifelines keeping you attached to average. That's how real transformation begins, not with motivation, but with a violent rejection of the old self. The truth is, most people don't fear failure. They fear success. They fear who they'd have to become. They fear what they'd have to let go of. They fear being seen, being judged, being great. Because when you step into greatness, the world holds you to a higher standard. And that's terrifying until you realize the only opinion that truly matters is your own. You don't need everyone to understand your mission. It wasn't assigned to them. It was assigned to you. So stop explaining, stop seeking validation. Stop waiting for someone to give you permission to live big. You want to save $1 million, build a legacy, own your freedom. Then you better start acting like the kind of person who already has it. Because wealth isn't about the money. It's about the posture, the presence, the identity. It's walking into every room like you belong, not because of arrogance, but because you've done the internal work. You've studied while others scrolled. You've invested while others spent. You've planned while others played. And now you're walking in harvest season while others are still planting the wrong seeds. Let me be clear, wealth is not random. It is mathematical. It is mental. It is spiritual. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. So if your external life feels stuck, it's because your internal life hasn't leveled up yet. The millionaire version of you is already real, already built, already waiting. But they only appear once you prove yourself ready, ready to lead yourself, ready to say no to the things that feel good now and yes to the things that build power later. Ready to train your emotions the same way a fighter trains his body, because emotional discipline is the gateway to financial independence. Most people are broke not because they lack income, but because they lack impulse control. They buy to feel better. They spend to escape. They scroll to forget. And so life becomes an endless loop of distraction and regret. But you're done with that. You are building something that cannot be bought in a store. You are building character, certainty, control, because the wealthiest people in the world aren't the ones with the flashiest toys. They're the ones who can look chaos in the face and still execute. They're the ones who wake up with intention, not reaction. They own their mornings. They dominate their habits. They protect their energy like it's sacred, because it is. Your energy is your most valuable currency, more valuable than your dollars, your degrees, or your connections. Because when your energy is right, your world bends to meet it. That's not spirituality. That's strategy. That's why you must master your mornings like your life depends on it. Because it does. Every morning is a battlefield. You either win it or it wins you. The ones who win the morning win the day. The ones who win the day win the year. The ones who win the year, they win the decade. And the ones who win the decade become legends. But remember, this greatness is quiet. It doesn't announce itself on day one. It builds silently behind closed doors. In the gym while others sleep. In the journal while others gossip. In the office while others complain. In the late night reading, early morning rituals, and lonely sacrifices that no one will ever clap for. But eventually, they will. They'll call you lucky. They'll say you were born with it. They'll rewrite your story to fit their narrative. Let them. Because while they're busy rewriting your past, you'll be busy writing your future. And that future is non-negotiable. It's already in motion. It's been set in stone by every decision you've made to not quit when it was hard, to not retreat when you were doubted, to not fold when fear showed its teeth. Because you've made a decision, you're not living another year as a watered-down version of yourself. You're not building someone else's dream while your own gathers dust. You're not passing down a story of survival. You're passing down a story of victory. And that story begins now. And now we come to the part no one wants to face. You will die. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Because every second you spend living small is a second you'll never get back. Every hour you waste settling for less is stolen from the masterpiece you were meant to create. You think you have time. You don't. Time is the most deceptive illusion of all. It whispers, later. Later I'll start that business. Later I'll fix my habits. Later I'll invest in myself. Later I'll live like I matter. But later is how dreams decay. Later is the language of the poor. And the poor aren't just those without money. The truly poor are those who have wealth buried inside them. Dreams, visions, talent, courage. And still go to the grave untouched by any of it. Don't be that man. Don't be that woman. Don't let the opinions of the blind rob you of your vision. Don't let fear become your financial advisor. Don't let average become your identity. Because if you're listening to this right now, there is still time. Not time to delay, but time to dominate. Time to take every ounce of energy you've been wasting on doubt, guilt, fear, and channel it into building something immortal. That's the real mission, not just to make a million, but to make a mark, to leave behind evidence that you lived. To become the kind of person who doesn't just chase wealth, but redefines it. Because real wealth isn't just about dollars in a bank. It's about owning your mind, owning your days, owning your decisions, owning your presence when you walk into a room, silent, focused, undeniable. Listen to me. You are not average. You never were. You were conditioned to play small, raised to be obedient, taught to trade time for survival. But inside you is a blueprint so powerful, so divine, so rare, that if you ever truly committed to it, the world itself would have to shift. But commitment requires courage. The courage to stop blaming. The courage to take full responsibility for your bank account, your body, your time, your thoughts. The courage to say, everything I've been waiting for is already inside me, and now it's time to use it. Not someday, today. Because here's the final truth. You don't need to be smarter. You don't need more connections. You don't need permission. You need to decide to draw a line and say, I will never again think like I'm broke. I will never again move like I'm average. I will never again shrink to make others comfortable. You want the million. You want the freedom. You want to break the generational cycle. Then stop romanticizing struggle. Stop clinging to your limitations like they're sacred. Stop replaying your past like it's more real than your future. You don't rise by analyzing every fear. You rise by moving through it. That's how every great empire was built, not in perfect conditions, but in defiance of the conditions. That's how Carnegie rose from a factory floor to industrial titan. That's how Oprah broke cycles of poverty and pain to build an empire of influence. That's how every self-made success story was written, through fire. And if you want to join them, then step into the fire. Let it melt everything false. Let it forge everything real. Let it burn off the hesitation, the addiction to comfort, the attachment to being liked, and let it reveal who you really are, a force, a storm, a one-person revolution. They say success loves speed, but you know what it really loves. Conviction, the kind that can't be taught, the kind that doesn't flinch, the kind that says, I don't care how long it takes. I will build this life, not for the car. Not for the clout, but because this is your destiny. You were born to lead yourself first, to become the person others look to when they've forgotten who they are, to hold the line when others fall, to rise when no one claps, to show the world what's possible when someone finally stops negotiating with greatness. You're not just here to earn, you're here to elevate, to raise the standard of what's acceptable in your bloodline, to say, it ends with me, the scarcity, the struggle, the survival mindset, it ends with me. So the next time someone asks how much you have saved, smile. Because the money, that's just the reflection. But the real wealth is walking around inside you now, bold, awake, unshakable. And nothing can stop a mind that has decided it's done being broke. This is your moment. The story shifts here. No more waiting. No more playing small. Now go build the million, because the world needs what's been sleeping inside you for far too long. And so here we are, at the edge of the old life, standing at the door of everything you said you wanted. The only thing left to do now is walk through it. But hear me, you cannot walk into the next level carrying the weight of who you used to be. You cannot become the millionaire, the leader, the builder, the force, while still thinking like someone who needs to be rescued. No one's coming to save you, because you were never supposed to be saved. You were supposed to awaken. The fear you feel, that's a signal. The discomfort, that's the price. The unknown, that's the invitation. And the sooner you stop resisting those things, the sooner life stops resisting you. You don't get to rise while clinging to comfort. You don't get to lead while avoiding decisions. You don't get to build wealth while serving distractions. You become the 1% by doing what the other 99 refuse to do. By choosing focus over entertainment, discipline over dopamine, power over pity. The world has enough victims. It needs more visionaries, people like you, who are willing to carry the burden of greatness, who will rise early and stay late, who will speak truth even when it's not popular, who will demand more of themselves when everyone else is settling. Because you weren't born for silence. You were born for significance. You weren't born to watch life happen. You were born to bend it. That's the spirit of every great mind that came before you.